First, at noon, Director of National Intelligence and former Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard is doubling down on her claims that former President Barack Obama tried to interfere with the 2016 election. She took questions from the White House press corps today.
The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact.
Who is saying that she would release this to try to boost her standing with the president? Who has said that?
Well, the president has publicly undermined her when it came to Iran. He said she was wrong. He told me that she didn't know what she was talking about. That was on Air Force One on camera.
The only people who are suggesting that the Director of National Intelligence would release evidence to try to boost her standing with the president are the people in this room who constantly try to sow distrust and chaos amongst the president's cabinet, and it is not working.
The White House denies that Gabbard declassified information to boost her standing with President Trump. Obama's office calls the allegations a, quote, ridiculous and weak attempt at distraction. A 2020 report by the bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee, led by then Chairman Marco Rubio, who is now President Trump's Secretary of State, concluded that Russia did work to influence the 2016 election, but did not successfully manipulate any votes. Meanwhile, the White House is unveiling a new plan to boost America's standing in the battle over the advancement of artificial intelligence. Erica Brown has more.
The White House is rolling out a plan designed to expand AI infrastructure and investments in the U.S. and the race to stay ahead of China.
Today, President Trump will announce a bold and comprehensive AI action plan to sustain and enhance America's global AI dominance.
The AI action plan involves rolling back federal regulations put in place during the Biden administration, promoting the build-out of infrastructure, including data centers, and plans to export U.S. AI technology globally.
Our country will lead the world in AI to secure a brighter future for all Americans, massively grow our economy, and protect our national security.
The Trump administration is also facing continued calls for the Department of Justice to release all documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. Wednesday, a federal judge denied a DOJ request to unseal grand jury transcripts from the investigation into Epstein.
I understand there are 2 other requests from the Department of Justice that are ongoing, but I'll let this president speak to whether he wants to see an appeal.
House Speaker Mike Johnson is sending lawmakers for an early summer recess rather than hold votes on releasing all of the Epstein documents.
No one in Congress is blocking Epstein documents. No one in Congress is doing that.
Johnson accused Democrats of engaging in a political charade, but many of the questions are coming from the right.
The American people want answers.
The House Oversight Committee passed a motion to subpoena Epstein's co-conspirator and convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell to appear for a deposition. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
An Idaho judge sent Bryan Kohberger away for the rest of his life. Sentencing came after hours of wrenching statements from the families of the 4 college students Kohberger killed back in 2022. Andres Gutierrez reports from outside the courthouse in Boise.
You're a delusional, pathetic, hypochondriac loser.
Family and friends of the victims poured out their anger and pain.
When the 4 kids were murdered, the foundation fell out of our world.
Today, we are here to finish what you started. Today, you've lost control.
One after another, they described how Bryan Kohberger's rampage changed their lives.
Karen and I are ordinary people, but we lived extraordinary lives because we had Maddie.
Sitting in his prison jumpsuit, Kohberger chose not to address the court before the sentencing.
I respectfully decline.
Calling him a coward, the judge sentenced him to 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole and said it was time to end Kohberger's 15 minutes of fame.
Even in pleading guilty, he is giving nothing hinting of remorse or redemption.
By declining to speak, Kohberger leaves the most burning question unanswered, his motive for ending 4 young lives. Earlier this month, Kohberger was spared the death penalty for pleading guilty to killing Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Zaina Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin at their off-campus home in Moscow, Idaho.
What happened that night changed everything.
Dylan Mortensen was in the house the night of the murders and told the court she still suffers crippling anxiety.
He is a hollow vessel, something less than human. A body without empathy, without remorse. He chose destruction. He chose evil.
As part of his plea deal, Kohberger waived the right to appeal, locked away now with the secrets for the rest of his life. Andres Gutierrez, CBS News, Boise, Idaho.
Back here at home, the Hawaii Supreme Court has affirmed the conviction and life sentence of Eric Willis. He was found guilty of stabbing a teenage girl in Kahala 5 years ago. Last year, a state appeals court ruled that the prosecutor in his 2022 trial misrepresented the testimony of a witness during closing arguments by referring to evidence of blood on Willis. But that piece of evidence was not included in the trial. Yesterday, the state Supreme Court said the prosecutor's argument was, quote, based on reasonable inferences drawn from circumstantial evidence and was not improper. Honolulu police arrested a 28-year-old man yesterday accused of setting fire to the playground at Wahiawa District Park in May. The suspect was released pending investigation. HPD says the arson case remains active and will be sent to the prosecuting attorney for review. And the Honolulu Medical Examiner has identified the woman killed in a wrong-way crash on the H1 freeway Sunday as 25-year-old Kylie Chun. HPD says Chun died after she hit a semi-truck head-on. A GoFundMe page says Chun had just moved to Oahu from Los Angeles with her 2 young sons and celebrated her birthday with friends just hours before the deadly crash near Punahou Street. Anyone who suffered losses from the 2023 Maui wildfires is eligible for a share of the $4 billion settlement. Attorneys explained how it works and who qualifies. Chelsea Davis has more.
Of the $4 billion global settlement, $135 million has been set aside for a class action lawsuit. Attorney Kyle Smith explained to Judge Peter Cahill it's for Maui wildfire victims who suffered smaller losses.
It basically provides a home for lower value claims, people who don't want to hire attorneys.
A victim who suffered a significant loss, such as a death of a relative or injury or a burned home, are urged to hire an individual attorney. An individual plaintiff is known as an IP. All other victims will fall into what's called the class. There are similar categories, like a business loss, but qualifications are different.
Business loss claim in the IP camp is likely going to be more substantial, let's say, because it'll be in the fire zone. A business loss claim in the class camp might be less substantial because it's tied to tourism losses or some such outside the fire zone.
Smith says notices to the public will be going out this week.
Online ads and media and radio and all these things essentially announcing the class settlement and where people can go to file a claim.
There is a website people can go to learn more, MauiFiresClassSettlement.com. He says victims will have until October 1st to decide if they want to be a part of the individual settlement or the class settlement.
If someone has an attorney, they need to talk to their attorney too. And even in some of the clients that have contacted us, like for example, we had a wrongful death client, that might be more appropriate for on the IP side.
He says every victim will be evaluated. Reporting in Wailuku, I'm Chelsea Davis for Hawaii News Now.
It's a common sound in our neighborhoods, but now police are getting new tools to crack down on loud engines and sound systems. 10 noise detectors will be installed across Oahu starting next month in Waipahu, Mililani, Ewa Beach, and Nanakuli.
From our perspective, a bill was passed. We're following the law. We can put them on existing light poles or power poles or even some areas on the buildings themselves.
You know, the priority of this pilot program is to make sure that people in our neighborhoods have some peace and quiet.
The detectors come at a cost of about $25,000 each. The state says no citations will be given yet. For now, HPD will collect data and send units to problem areas. Mark Zuckerberg's growing compound on Kauai has some residents worried about iwi kupuna. The tech billionaire has vowed to protect burials on his land, but our Derek Kravitsky says some people want more access.
O Kauai, he aina ka.
Julian Ako plays his ukulele and sings to honor his ancestors on the Garden Isle.
There's a lot of important memories that are tied to my Kauai ohana that are captured in this song.
At Pila'a Beach, where Ako visited as a child, his great-grandmother and her brother are laid to rest.
The Aina on Kauai at Moloa Bay is so important to me and who I am and as a Kanaka, that when I pass, I've already told my son that my remains are to be cremated and the ashes are to be scattered in the bay there.
Protecting the burial sites became Ako's life mission since Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg moved in 11 years ago, buying and restricting access to 740 acres of land.
That was sad because the place doesn't look the way it looked when I was a kid and I would visit my great-grandfather there. It looks very, very different.
This past January, Zuckerberg expanded his estate to more than 2,000 acres. And although Ako worked with the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative to register his family's graves with the state, he's no longer able to visit them freely. Zuckerberg's organization says employees are required to report any remains discovered, but Ako is worried that construction workers who sign non-disclosure agreements will be discouraged from coming forward.
So it's basically, we're operating on trust that they will do what the law actually requires them to do, but there's no guarantee.
Zuckerberg's foundation, however, does guarantee they'll fence off and maintain the burial plots, and notes that most of the land is dedicated to agriculture, including native plants, and less than 1% of the land is developed. Derek Kravitsky, Hawaii News Now.
Aloha on this Wednesday. The mostly dry trade wind weather pattern continues, especially dry for those leeward areas. And with the winds running breezy, those leeward areas, well, they have an elevated threat for brush fires, right? So heads up on that. And there's just not a lot of rain out there to be had. Not that it's going to be totally dry. And whatever rain comes in will be moving out quickly because even though the winds are slow right now, the winds are expected to build to breezy levels by the afternoon. So all in all, a pleasant day ahead with lots of afternoon sunshine.
Thank you, Guy. Stay away from sacred falls. That's the warning for hikers from state officials. Conservation officers recently received several videos of hikers climbing over a locked gate and then trespassing in the off-limits state park in Hau'ula. It's been closed since 1999 after a landslide killed 8 people and injured 30 others. Officers say they are now increasing patrols in the area and can arrest violators. Ahead on This Is Now, Hawaii families are invited to apply for summertime food assistance. We'll tell you when the deadline to apply is. Plus, high-ranking military leaders fly in for talks over Hawaii leases. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The new public school year kicks off in under 2 weeks, and there's some good news for families. State education officials tell us all the school bus routes that were running at the end of last year are expected to be back on the road come August 4th. 138 routes across the state were disrupted last year due to a driver shortage. As of this week, 9 are still suspended. Those are on Maui and East Hawaii Island. And August 3rd is the deadline to apply for the state's Sunbucks program, also known as Summer EBT. The program offers eligible households $177 for each qualifying child enrolled in school to ensure students do not go hungry this summer.
We have to have food for our keiki. The Sunbucks is the example of what happens when we prioritize families and children. It's reflective of our spirit of aloha for people. It gives families the ability to feed their children with dignity, and it supports our local economy at the same time.
Link to apply online on our website, hawaiinewsnow.com. What can the U.S. Army do for Hawaii? That's what military leaders are asking as they made a push to renew state leases. The team negotiating with the governor includes the new Army secretary, who was just confirmed months ago. Jonathan Masaki has the details.
A meeting of top brass at Schofield Barracks today, the new Army Secretary, the Army's Chief of Staff, and the commander of the 25th Infantry Division. They're all hoping to cut a deal for a new state lease at the Pohakaloa training area on the Big Island. Secretary Daniel Driscoll just met with the governor yesterday.
This land matters to the United States Army. We have got to be able to train here. And so one of the things we talked with the governor about is the timeline for closing this out and getting to kind of a firm agreement.
The negotiations come less than 3 months after the state land board rejected the Army's final environmental impact statement for Pohakaloa. Governor Green told us in a statement it was very good to spend significant time yesterday with the secretary and his team. We will be exploring possibilities on military leases together. He now better understands how important it is to us to work together for Hawaii's people and our land while we work together to protect our country.
Our soldiers love it here, our families love it here, and so we're just going to have to move forward, and I think, and figure this out together.
And give the military back their dollar. They can keep them.
For nearly 65 years, the Army has paid the state $1 to use about 23,000 acres of land at Pohakaloa, but that lease expires in 2029. After the Red Hill fiasco and growing sentiment against the military, Army leaders know they must regain public trust.
The opportunity to work alongside the community as part of the ongoing discussions while being respectful and empathetic of the concerns, while continuing to preserve our ability to focus on our number one priority of warfighting readiness is incredibly important.
We have asked the governor's office, working with a lot of the local leaders, is to, in the next matter of weeks, give us a list of what are the things the United States Army can start doing or continuing to do.
Several other Army properties are also up for new leases in the coming years. The Army leaders said they are optimistic a compromise can be reached on Pohakaloa. Jonathan Masaki, Hawaii News Now.
All right, let's take a live look outside with our tower cam out at Honolulu Harbor on this Aloha Wednesday. What's ahead in the week and a look ahead at the weekend. Guy's going to have your full forecast in 2 minutes.
Alert Weather with Guy Huggy.
How's it on this Wednesday? We've got more mostly dry conditions. You can't rule out a stray shower, but significant rainfall just not out there. Very dry this morning, except for some showers coming into East Maui. And those winds running slow right now, but as the day progresses, they'll come up to breezy levels. So expect another gorgeous, mostly dry day today. Best chance for showers in the morning and in the overnight hours favoring windward sides, but whatever rain comes in will be of the light variety. And those winds will be running brisk in the afternoon at 15 to 20 miles an hour. And this is what we expect all the way probably through Saturday. Pretty similar conditions. Lighter winds are due back on Sunday. Heads up, though, we got another big fat tide coming in this afternoon. Remember, there's that coastal flood statement on for the eastern end of the state where they could get some minor coastal flooding. So heads up on that. Otherwise, we're going to get a small pulse rolling into the south and west shores. Nothing too big, but it's going to keep the fun from going flat. And the east shores will be the biggest, but also the choppiest at 2 to 4 feet. So we've got these breezy trade winds, these mostly dry conditions, at least through Saturday. So that means for this time period, from today all the way through Saturday, the drier conditions for leeward sides mean there's going to be some elevated fire risk out there. And then higher humidity levels, less of a fire risk coming in on Sunday as those winds lighten up.
Thank you, Guy. More than 95 million Americans are under heat alerts through Friday as a major heat dome slowly expands across the country. Heat index values are expected to hit 100 degrees and higher in some areas. Usher Qureshi is in Chicago.
Along the beaches of Lake Michigan, Chicagoans took a dip Tuesday as the city prepared for feels-like temperatures to top 100 degrees this week.
Lake Michigan is Chicago's natural cooling center.
When it's that hot, come down to the water.
The immediate priority for us is messaging and communications.
Kayla LaRiviere oversees the city's emergency management services. She said Chicago is ready to beat the heat with plans to push out weather alerts and safety tips via text and robocalls, not to mention offering more than 280 cooling centers.
Chicago's deadly heat wave has been described as a disaster of unprecedented proportions.
This week's heat wave comes as the city marks 30 years since a 5-day stretch of 100-plus degree temperatures killed 739 people. It led to a comprehensive heat emergency strategy that expanded cooling centers, enhanced well-being checks, and boosted first responder training.
We're talking about tens of millions of Americans who are going to be dealing with extreme heat the next couple of days. Biggest takeaways for those folks?
Take those warnings seriously and make sure you're taking care of yourself and checking up on your loved ones and your neighbors.
Folks here are expecting temperatures to cool down into the afternoon tomorrow. Then they'll be watching for something that tends to come after these heat waves, thunderstorms. Usher Qureshi, CBS News, Chicago.
Still to come, this luxurious oceanfront estate in Lanikai is now on the market. A look at the features and the whopping price tag in 2 minutes. see what the internet is talking about today. Krispy Kreme and Crocs are clogging the internet with the announcement of a new collab. Now, the shoes feature 3 donut flavors: original glazed, chocolate iced with sprinkles, and strawberry iced with sprinkles. The clogs come in a box inspired by Krispy Kreme's classic dozen box. The Krispy Kreme Crocs will sell for $80, while the 5-pack of Krispy Kreme Jibbits will be $20 in Crocs stores and at crocs.com. Customers who come in wearing their Crocs on August 9th will get a free glazed donut. Well, you could live in a stunning oceanfront estate in Lanikai if you have $16 million. The 7,000 square foot home features 5 large bedrooms and 4.5 baths. Outside the home is a courtyard pool and a spacious oceanside lawn. Now, the listing agent described the house as the kind of property that defines the standard of luxury. And with the $16 million price tag, it is the most expensive property currently on the market there in Lanikai. Beautiful if you can afford it. Thanks for watching. This is Now, everyone. More news first at 4 right here on KHNL. We'll see you then.